and say at about 10:40, we'll reconvene and get started on lesson 3.5. So here is my spreadsheet, and yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Sometimes I get a little too detailed, but I want to be able to look at it later and understand what the heck I was doing, or have someone else look at it and know what I was doing. So here I just put a title at the top, and sometimes that title could be the name of the file up here. I also changed the name from sheet 2 down below here to milk versus soda. And then I needed to take the information I was given. So this is the information they gave us on the sheet. And I thought it was important, like, what the heck does 36.4 really mean? So I thought I'd put a little asterisk to say it's beverages are in gallons per person per year. Otherwise, that number to me in a month is going to be 36 what? And so it's a good idea to try and make a note of what the units are if it's not obvious when you look at it. You know, if that was miles, okay, 36 miles makes sense, but what does it mean to be 36 milk? You know what I mean? So you want to be careful about that. And then anytime you throw a variable down, make a note of what it means. So years after 1950 is the way most of us set up our formulas. And in particular, I could clarify this down here where it says the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 years, 1 year, 2 years. What do you mean 2 years? 2 years from today, 2 years from last year. So I might clarify that title and say that's years after 1950. Because when I look at it later, like maybe studying for the exam, I look at that and I'm like, what do you mean years? That's year, what's years? So now it's a little more clear. So it's a balance between, you know, not being too wordy, but being wordy enough so that you can look at it later and be able to make some sense of it. So from there, I had to subtract these guys here to find out what the change was over those 50 years. And that's not the slope immediately, that's just the change. Okay, so that's my numerator for my slope. And then the change in years over here, that's the denominator for my slope. Okay, so in the next cell down here, I divided them. You could do that all in one formula if you wanted to, or you can separate it out. I separated it out. And then underneath, I just made a note of what my formula is going to be. Normally, I would just write that on paper, but I put it here for you guys to see. Okay, so for example, for milk, I got, oops, is equal to negative 0. Now I forgot, 176? Anyone else get that? Too many numbers to keep in my head. 276, okay. Negative 0.276 times the time plus the starting point at 36.4. So you want to make a note of that on your paper. It doesn't necessarily have to be typed like that in the spreadsheet, but I can use it in the spreadsheet. And remember, T, I should make a note, is years after 1950. You want to be more clear and on paper state what milk means. That's not a bad idea either thinking about the writing principle for this class. Milk, that's actually gallons per person per year. So always think about being clear. Sometimes think about not being too wordy, but don't worry about that too much. Your main focus should try to be clear about everything you write down, so that when you look at it later, or I look at it, I know what the heck we're talking about. So on your worksheets, I expect to see something like that. And then you'll write a similar thing down for soda. So I calculated yesterday, for the soda, the slope was 0.77. What's that 0.77 mean for the soft drinks? 0.77 what? So that's slope. What's the slope mean here? Soft drink, 0.77 watts. What are we talking about?
It's an increase.
It's an increase for sure.
Per year.
An increase per year of what? Yeah.
So,
Of soft drinks? Like how many? Like one bottle of soda? Gallons per person per year. Yeah, so that's what this number represents right here. So it's an increase because it's positive of gallons per person. So that's pretty much the numerator of my slope. Because remember, a slope is a rate of change. So numerator is the increase in gallons per person. Denominator is the change in years. So per year. So that says each person in the US was increasing their soft drink consumption by about 3/4 of a gallon per person per year. That's what that tells us. Just based on the number that we calculated in 1950 and the number that was calculated in 2000. That's not a lot of data to go by, but it's a simple way to start. Okay, cool. Anybody have any questions about how to proceed here? There is a video on how I made the spreadsheet, yeah. And that is on the main course page at the top. I have a link to YouTube stuff. Oh, get back here. YouTube, Google Hangouts, and then my playlist right here. It'll be right there. Okay, so just a quick note on that. So the next thing I did was I made these column headings down here, and I typed the first couple of years as the year or the years after. And then as far as the formula goes, I just typed that in. So I'm just going to delete this and do that again for you. But I just came to this cell right here, make believe most things are blank here. I just typed equals, typed the slope, negative 0.276 times, what am I multiplying the slope by? The year here, yeah, the years, excuse me. And then I add on the starting point, that was our 36.4. And then I'm just gonna fill that formula down. So I just enter and then whip that sucker down. Oh, too far. Oh, shit, wrong way. Fill it down a ways. And then similarly, I type the formula here, same way, equals 0.77 times number of years that have gone by plus the starting point, 10.8. And that's all in that video too. And then fill that down for a while. And what we're looking for is we're looking to see when one crosses the other. So let me zoom out a minute here. And so somewhere here I have a graph. Where is it? Is it down below? Yeah, there it is. So then I highlighted everything and I told Google Sheets to graph it for me. And I labeled a better one yesterday, but we'll just go with this one for now. This is my gallons per person per year here. Milk is blue and soft drinks red. And if I point here, it'll say, maybe I have to click. There we go. That 25 years later is about when they meet. Okay? And so we can double check that based on our table of numbers. So then you should be able to go look at your table of numbers, zoom in on, around 75 years later. So in this region right here, and notice that milk is higher in 73, still higher slightly in 74, but in 75, soft drinks overtake the milk. So somewhere between 1974 and 1975, it changed, according to our prediction, right? So we're a little sketchy, but we're somewhere on the mark there. All right, quick pause. Take a look at the next page, please. And then I'm going to let you guys do some stuff together. So 3, 4. So as far as the spreadsheet, you need a spreadsheet for Jamie's graph of weight data and the milk and soft drink stuff. You don't have to do a spreadsheet for this last question, but the last question is going to have you play around with deciding which U-Haul trailer to rent. And here is the initial cost plus the cost per mile. And these are the sizes of the trucks here. So you have to decide what's the better deal, if you have to move about 1,000 cubic feet of stuff and it's 10 miles one way to your new apartment. So you also have to, if you make multiple trips, right, you got to get back and forth. So you got to consider all that. Trips back and forth, 1,000 cubic feet. Which of these is the better deal based on the cost per mile and the fixed cost for each one? Okay, go to it. Have fun. Fine. Yeah, I'll come in there and check and